Okay then, what is up, and welcome back to Unreal Editor. And thought I'd go through something a little bit different today, because I want to start showing people like how to do things and passing on some of the knowledge that I've got. So this is kind of like a little tutorial, how I did. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but basically, last time we had implemented the key for the door. So let me just show what I mean. So over here, locked door. So you go down here, grab the key out of the desk. Is that the wrong drawer? Yeah, that's the wrong drawer. So there's the key, and we'll take that back up to the door. That will then unlock the door. See, now what I didn't do when I implemented that and closed everything down and released the update video was check these doors, because these aren't supposed to be operated by that key. And if I restart the game, you'll see why I'm making such a deal about that. Can I get into my game, please? There we go. So we'll go over here. Look. Now all these doors are locked because they're all running off the same blueprint. So if you look down here, we've got BP interact door. And if we open that up, got a little bit of Eminem on in the background, so I hope I'm not getting wrecked for copyright strikes. So just wait for that blueprint to load up, and you'll see what the problem is. See, right here, before it does anything, it's got this check for a variable in the first person character, which is to say, is the boss's door locked? So while that's returning as true, all it's going to do is play a door locked. That applies for any door. So to fix this, what we're going to have to do is get back to the boss's office door for a start. So there we go. Okay, so currently this is also a BP interact door. It's just renamed boss's door, but as you can see, it's BP interact door. So what we need to do is duplicate this blueprint, and we need to make it so that the boss's door is a unique door. I mean, I could do this in the blueprint of the interact door, but this way I can control each blueprint independently, and then I can just use the interact door as a base and create unique variants off of it. So now that we've got that set up, what we need to do is go into interact door, and now we can remove this. So we just get rid of that and have interact object go straight into that boolean there. So we can compile that now. Okay, and then we'll hit play. Just go make sure that functions. For some reason, like, I need to pull that down a scotch. Like, it's because I'm running it in this tiny little window. When it's all spaced out properly, that issue doesn't happen. So now we can open these doors. The downside to that is that now we can also open this door, which we don't want. But that's because we haven't given it the boss's door blueprint yet. So I'm just going to click that, right click on the door, and we're going to replace the selected actor. Now obviously it comes with that mesh, so what we're going to do is go boost boss's door, grab the boss's door mesh, boom, it's right back in place, and we need to tell it that it's locked. So now when we hit play, nothing is going to happen because it's not added into the raycast for the E section yet. But as you can see, it is functioning differently to these doors. So what we're going to do now is go and update the first person character map, because I've got a system in the first person character blueprint that checks for the identity basically of an object that it raycasts to, so that it can then pull that as a wildcard to cast to the actual object. So if we look in here, we want to get show E to interact. So here we go. Show E to interact is this one. And when it changes, when it stops, so this is a different one. So we want the cast failed, and we want to cast to bosses door. No, that's not what I called it, was it? It was cast to interact object. Oh no. See, this is what you need to really keep an eye on. There we go. BP interact. You really need to get those naming conventions nailed. So we don't want that. We want cast failed to go to that. And we want cast succeeded to go up to here. So now, what that will do is it will show the E to interact once it compiles. Camel, compile away. Controversy, because it would feel so empty without me. Why? Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to give it a value for the object. There we go. So I do that all the time. You'd think all these other blue lines would have remembered me. Reminded me. I will neaten this up at some point and make it a much more visually friendly script, shall I say. I've done that with most of the stuff, like, so over here, look, where all the stuff that's been tested and retested and is known to work properly has all been blocked off and stuff, and all my experimental modules are still fairly laid out. I mean, I've macroed it down as much as I can for now, but obviously I will have to try and simplify that at some point. So what's going to happen now, let's hit play. There we go. Okay, so now we can get, but it's given the E, but it's not registering because I haven't added it into the actual functionality part now. So let's go and add that in. So where's the press E to open and close? Here we go. So let's just follow this along. So these are all the various little, there you go, open door. Cast to interact object, cast failed. Cast to BP interact door, cast failed. So if it succeeds there, we want it to interact with the object. I think what we're going to need to do is maybe set up a custom event and add it into here. So what we'll do is, I don't know whether to put it off this other door, this open door. I might actually, it might be a little bit more tedious and complex than it needs to be, but at least I'm keeping them all in the same section, and neatness is pretty much paramount. So, what have we got in boss's door? Is that still called interact with object? Yes, it is. Okay, so let's go to cast failed, and we'll cast to BP interact boss's door as the hit object from way back here. I need, like I said, I need to put this, set it going into a variable or something that I can just keep referencing rather than drawing these strings across the world all the time. So cast succeeds, then as that we want to do interact with object. Sorted. So we'll hit compile on that. Now all my door opening widgets are all in the same area, and feel free, you know, in the comments if you know better ways of doing these things. Cause like I say, I'm just making sure that the thing I want to get accomplished in game works. I'm not really too fussed about how I'm going about it on the back end, as long as it's not impacting performance too much. Like, there are a lot of little things that I do that other people might not necessarily do that way, which I will cover, such as the way I stack the wet floor signs and the way I craft the items where you drag and drop the stuff onto the tables. So there might be better ways of going about that, or I might have stumbled on the best way of going about it. I don't know. Again, the same with things like the phone messages and the notes. I do them in very different ways, because there's a lot of different ways to achieve the same result. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So now we've got that all set up. So what we should be able to do now is go in, and it should function. There we go. It's picking up the fact that it's locked and that we're raycasting to it. These guys are still open. Good stuff. Let's go grab that key. Let's grab that key. Alright. There we go. Okay, so you see, this is why you have to be on the ball, because I forgot to give it a rotational value, so it was working just fine. I just hadn't set a value for it to animate by. So let's try that again. Just go straight and grab the key this time. Key, please. Thank you. There we go. Look at that. Now it's working like it should. Excellent. So there you go. That is a brief insight into kind of how I do things. Now, one of the things I was going to mention was, I'll show you what I mean. Like these little things. You bring them and you pop it in, and it takes it out of your hand and puts it there. Now, I don't actually, that's not the same object that you were holding, if that makes sense. So basically what's happening is it's deleting the object that you're holding and spawning one in there that's already been placed and just got its visibility set to 0. So I will be covering how I go about doing that with various different items, including, let me just park myself here, so when I hit escape you should see, yes, including these here, you see? How they're not there in game, but they're here. And they're made of different components that hide and show at various times. So if you want to get a look at that and how I go about that, you know, feel free to like and subscribe. But until then, that is probably it for today's update. So again, if you want to support the project, hit me up on Patreon. If you want to follow on Twitter, obviously like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I stream over on mixer.com, and that's about it. So see you next time.